Centers in Prince George's County has many residents in an uproar. The Qualified Data Center Task Force was created by the County Council to take a deeper dive into the impact of data centers in the county. Sitting on that committee and joining us today in studio is Staci Hartwell, who is here to share her perspective on data centers and the decision-making process. Staci, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Aniya.
So let's jump right in. So Staci, what is your stance on data centers coming to Prince George's County?
Well, I would like to give a little perspective, a little context. Data centers are important. We need data centers. However, wherever you put data centers makes a big difference. And in Prince George's County, where we are considered an underserved, where the majority of the county is considered underserved and environmentally overburdened, I don't believe that data centers are the best choice for us, especially when you consider the Landover location, because it is centered in the heart of a Black community, of an existing Black community.
Right. And you also mentioned that you reject politicians who trade away health and wealth for community members.
These are the people who put these politicians in office. It is important that they hear the voice of the people. It has been disheartening to see that the will of the people is not being exercised by the people who put them in office. So I really think that we need to reconsider our approach to data centers for the county and center community voices around this very harmful element. The data centers are referred to as community killers. And it's been proven in places like the fight in Memphis that's happening, the fight in Bessemer that's happening, where these data centers are harmful to the way of life in existing communities.
And Staci, you also mentioned to me before that you believe there are laws and policies in place that silence community members and developers and strip away community rights.
I've seen other interviews that have been done where we refer to a decision that was made, a vote that was taken in 2021, where it essentially fast-tracked data centers and removed the opportunity for people to give their input. That decision, that vote was had when everyone's hair was on fire with COVID. So the community was very distracted, and I really question the motivation of the planning board when they moved forward with that, that decision. And that was the onset of removing community voices. There are other pending legislation, that's CB 92-2025, I hope you don't mind, I'm going to refer to my phone here, all these numbers. CB 105-2025 and CB 106-2025 that would weaken public oversight, silence community voices, and open the door for more pollution-heavy facilities in predominantly Black and brown communities. So these are really the foundation of policies that could really take or harm communities of color.
Yeah, and you mentioned silencing voices. Talk to me a little bit about your experience on the Qualified Data Center Task Force. I know that you mentioned you often felt silenced.
Well, let me just share with you, because in your introduction you talked about the uproar. And that uproar happened because people weren't, they did not have civil conversations prior to the advent of proposing data centers. So that's why you get the uproar, because people were essentially ignored in this process. As sitting on the task force, I've experienced, well, first of all, let me tell you about the makeup of the task force. I am one of the few people on the task force, I think there are 3 of us, that represent community voices. Everyone else on that task force has a political interest or financial interest in the advance of data centers. They are not objective voices. So when it's time to vote, we're always in the minority. We have not had a vote just yet, but if we were to vote, our voices are in the minority. We recently went to Frederick because there's a false equivalent drawn with the opportunity in Frederick and comparing it to what could possibly happen here in Prince George's County, and I maintain that it is an apples to anvils comparison. Frederick has more land and less people. We have more people, less land. We have more long-standing established communities that suffer from environmental harms than what they do in Frederick. But when we went on this tour to see the site in Frederick, we were in a meeting where one of the labor advocates insisted that the NAACP was for data centers. Now, I am the chair emerita for the NAACP Maryland State Conference Environmental and Climate Justice Committee. I am intimately aware of the labor impacts as it relates to environment. And when I attempted to correct him in this meeting, and yes, I was talking at the same time he was talking, I was told to stop talking. When I attempted to dispel this inaccuracy that this narrative that he was trying to advance, and that his word would be the last word. And I was not able to address the inaccuracies of what he was stating. So I have been silenced in this process. I think that's a good enough example. I don't want to get into more detail. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I am concerned about the methods that they've used to conduct this task force.
Mm. So as my final question, I do want to ask you, what will you do in your power that you have on the Qualified Data Center Task Force to make sure that community voices are heard?
I have made myself available to the community to share with me real time when we're sitting in those task force meetings, questions that they have or points that they would like me to bring up. Outside of that, I also rally community voices to address, for example, the draft report that the task center has just come up with. In my opinion, it was fraught with inaccuracies and unverified information. And so I reached out to the national NAACP to be a part of my coalition. I've reached out to organizations like the Center for Engagement, Environmental Justice and Health, and other credible, learned voices in this space to provide comment on the draft report. So I try to pull together voices around this and support organizations. PSL is an organization that I share information with so that they are aware of what's happening behind the scenes regarding these data center meetings.
Well, thank you so much, Staci, for this wonderful information. I do appreciate taking the time out to talk to you. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Well, the Qualified Data Center Task Force is still working towards coming up with recommendations for the County Council, but they must be submitted by November 30th. We'll continue to update you on the latest on data centers in the county as more information becomes available.
All right, thanks so much, Aniya. And if you missed her other 2 sit-down interviews on data centers, you can still catch them.
You can just search for them under our YouTube page, PGCTV online.